Much for making time to join us on today's edition. My name is Vivian Kai Loco. When I come back, I'll tell you what we'll be discussing today and the gentleman with which we'll be having today's discussion with. Stay with us, don't go away. And you're welcome back to the Voters Diary. My name is Vivian Kai Loco. So in December, we go to the polls to elect a presidential candidate. But which people are you likely to vote for? Today, we're looking at the 17 people who have so far filed nominations to run as president of Ghana. We'll be looking at who they are, their backgrounds, and all that. The EC is also looking into seeing whether they will all be on our ballot boxes or not. We'll look at that as well. But we want you to be part of this conversation. Send a message. Would you prefer to lead the country in January 2021? Send us a message. You can do that via Facebook or Twitter. Remember to add the hashtag Voters Diary, or you can do that via WhatsApp on the numbers on your television set now. So who would I be having these discussions with? I have Kojo Akoto-Boateng, heads our new media team for TV and radio. Kojo, welcome.
Thank you, Vivian.
And I also have Seloma Donu, head of features and articles here at City FM and City TV. Selam, welcome.
Hi, Vivian. Thank you.
So, guys, good to have you. Yesterday, we were not able to come have the show because, of course, the Black Stars were playing with Qatar, and the end they emerged victorious. So well done to the Black Stars. So today we're looking at the various people who have filed nominations to run as presidents. The EC hasn't told us whether or not anybody will be disqualified. So we're just going to go through all the 17 people who have filed their nominations, who they are, their backgrounds, and what they've been telling us so far with regards to leading the country in January if the elections go well and all that. Welcome again, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I think before I look into detail of who these people are, I just want to play a short clip back to back with the current president of the Republic, Nana Akufo-Addo, when he filed his nomination. He was one of the first candidates who did. And then later, I'll play the video of ex-President Mahama, who had his General Secretary of the NDC file on behalf of him. So the two back to back, and then we'll start the discussion, and later look at the others as well.
We have no reason to believe the NDC presidential candidate's newly proclaimed conversion to free SH and free TVET. For 8 years, he and his party were loud in their assertions that they did not believe in free SHS and free TVET. They did not like the idea, they rubbished it at every opportunity, and they proclaimed that it would destroy Ghana's educational system. When they were in office, they had a hard time trying to run even their watered-down version of their so-called progressively free education. Then the former president said he would review it, and now we hear him say it has come to stay. Excellency, please try another one. Your credibility on this one is zero. Free SHS and free TVET cannot be trusted in your hands. I know that the NDC presidential candidate, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, believes and says often that Ghanaians have a short memory. And he must hold strongly to this belief. Otherwise, I doubt he would have summoned the courage to be seeking another term after the disaster that was his presidency. Ghanaians might have short memories, but not short enough for us to have forgotten the broken down freezers, irons, and other household equipment thanks to the 5 years of Dumso. Our memories are not short enough to forget that the economy under him was such a wreck that there was a ban placed on all recruitment into our public services. Our memories are not short enough to forget that teachers taught for 3 years and were only paid for 3 months. Our memories are certainly not short enough to forget that he brought our entire financial services system to near collapse. I've heard him make the extraordinary claim that Ghana's economy was in, quote, tatters, not because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but because of mismanagement. I doubt that he can recognize a well-managed economy, even if it slapped him in the face.
So I can assure now that it is, I'm in a unique position because I'm the only president who has the opportunity to come back and correct his mistakes. No other president in Ghana can do that. And now people say when you're cutting a path, normally you cutting the path cannot see is bending. But when you get a chance to stop working and come and sit and look at the path, then you can tell that I was veering off to the left. I need to straighten it. And so when you go back to work, you straighten the path and make it better. So I believe that a new NDC government will be a much better government than the previous one. In government, we did a lot of things that were very good, and there were other things that we could have done better. We have the opportunity to come back and continue the good things that we were doing. But we also have the opportunity to come back to make better some of the things that did not go very well. And so I can assure you now that your faith in us is not misplaced, and that I'm certain, as the youth leader said, that the people of Ulo and Jirapa constituency will give us their vote, and that NDC will come back into power. And that when we come back, we will continue all the projects that have been abandoned so that we can save the taxpayers' money. Because as I've said, those projects were not being executed with our personal funds. These are projects that were being executed with the taxes that all of us pay. And so when a new government comes, and just because projects were started by a preceding government, and out of political motivation, not wanting the credit to go to the past government, deliberately abandon those projects, it is a waste of the taxpayers' money.
So those are the two main candidates vying for president of the Republic of Ghana. There are 15 more also vying for that position. We'll tell you who they are, and then we'll look into their backgrounds and all that. But guys, 17 people. This is a wide, pool of men. Have a look.
And women.
And a woman. Men and a woman vying for the highest seat in the Republic of Ghana. Is it a complete spread nationally in terms of where they belong or where they come from what you're looking at?
Well, it's men and women because there's... I'm talking about the main candidates. There's Ekuya Donko.
Okay.
There's Nana Kunedu Ajiman-Rawlings. And there's Bridget Akusia Jigbenuku, right?
Yes.
So out of the 17, 3 are women and the rest are men. So if you look at the percentage breakdown, 17.6% are men and 82.4% are women. So 17.6% are men, 82.4% are women.
For the
presidential candidates. So
you mean the women have 80 or the men?
No, the women constitute 17.6%.
Yes, you
and
swapped
the men,
it.
Sorry, forgive me.
So I won't take my place.
And the men
okay, so the men constitute 82%.
Yes,
and the
82.4%. Yes.
About 17 goes to the women, the 3 women. Okay, great.
Yes. And we're also trying to understand the trend. So this time we have 3 independent candidates running, and we have new parties also coming in. A party like PAP, a party like GUM, which is GUM. They are new. LPG is also new. Even though the person running on the ticket of the LPG is not new, LPG itself is a new formulation, because previously it was IPP, Nkonkwa, right? That is Kofi Apalu. And we have a former president contesting this time. A former president is contesting. And he entered parliament the same year that his main opponent, which is the current president, entered parliament. Okay. Right, so that's a bit of the similarities. Now, if you look at the regional breakdown, the Ashanti region has the most candidates. Akwesi Ade Odike of Odike Ventures is from Ashanti region. Ikuya Donko is from Ashanti region. Nana Kunedu Ajuma Rawlings is from Ashanti region. Nana Jenim Boating, if what we have about him is true, aka Jataba, is from Ashanti region. Percival Kofi Apalu. It's shaky. Now, the reason why I've put him in the Ashanti region bracket is because he practically is a Kumasi guy. I know him. He ran against Kwame Adokofo even in Menchia, I think 2004.
But can we say that,
No, the Ashanti region bit is not like necessarily like the region they are from, but the region they sort of represent. That's the concept. So Kofi Akpalu, he was accountant at Capital Radio. He left for the States. He came to set up a savings and loans company. He set up Presdell College in Kumasi. And where Presdell College is, when the school collapsed, I think Kesben has built his house there. So he's a known Ashanti region boy. That's why I classify him as Ashanti region. So for example, if I talk about somebody like Ivor Kobna Green Street, I'm likely to say he's a Greater Accra person because he was born in Gamashi, right? His parents lived and worked in Accra. So that's how I'm saying it's from Ashanti region, not necessarily. If you talk about me, you say I'm a Kumasi boy, but really I'm from the BA and side. Yeah, so that's the explanation. Now we're looking at the age profiles of these people, with the exception of Osofo Chabosom, Bridget Jogbenuku, Nana Jenim Boateng Jataba, and Kofi Akpalu. We don't have their specific ages, which we'll find, but the information available, with the exception of those 4, the average age is 60. The average age of those seeking to be president 60. Is 60. The oldest on the lists is the current president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who is 76 years old, and the youngest on the list is Marrick, Gane, who is 46 years old. Ayariga is 48, Kofi Cranton is 54, Kobna Green Street is 54, so there are 2 age mates there. Odike is 56, Kwesi Bosumuru is 57, David Apasera is 58. Now these people I'm going to mention, if they were in the civil service, they'll be going on retirement. John Dramani Mahama 61, Alfred Walker 65, Henry Herbert Latte 66, Ekuya Donko 68, Nana Kunedu Ajuma Rawlings 71, and Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo 76. If you look at the professions, we have... So
more of them are in the 50s.
Yes, then, more of them are in the 50s.
In the 40s.
Yes. I know that Osofo Chabosom is not 60. I know that Bridget is not 60. I know that Nana Ajinim Boateng is not 60. I know that Kofi Apalu is not 60. So based on that, if you are calculating the percentage of those running who are supposed to be on retirement if they were in the civil service, would have 35% of the total number above 60.
That's interesting.
And regional representation, we have people from the Volta region. In fact, we have 2. That is Marrick and Bridget. Upper East, Hassan Ayariga. We have, what do you call it, David Apasera, who is a former MP for the Bogatanga area. Hassan Ayariga is from Boko. Greater Accra has representation, Asante has representation, Eastern has representation, Savannah has representation. That's former President John Dramani Mahama. So these are the regions with representation that we know. When the EC releases the full data, they'll break down everything and give us more details. But these are the bits and pieces that we've been able to collect.
Okay.
Now, on occupations, quite a lot of them are entrepreneurs. Hassan Araga is a politician/entrepreneur. Kofi Cranton is an entrepreneur. Kwabena Greenstreet is a lawyer and athlete. He's an athlete because, yes, this game, what do they call it? The game that they fire.
That, like firing?
No. It's they fire proper gun. I've forgotten. I should have written it, sorry. Now, David Apasera is a former MP. So I don't know whether I can say he's a
politician.
Yeah.
John Dramani Mahama, communications professional, politician, former president. If you look at Osofo Chabosom, Christian Kwabena Andrews, he's a religious entrepreneur.
Religious entrepreneur?
Yes, he owns a church. So he's a religious entrepreneur. Kofi Akpalu is a businessman. He's an accountant turned businessman.
Is he a pastor?
Yes,
he's a pastor.
Christian Kwabena Andrews. Yes, he's a pastor.
So what do you say is a religious entrepreneur? Unless, of course, a lot of them have, some of them have businesses. So unless, of course, he has other businesses aside from the church. So it's a church. It's a pastor.
It's a pastor.
Yes. Okay. In certain circles, reverend. In certain circles, pastor. So not to confuse it, I just wrote religious entrepreneur. Now, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo is the current president and he's a lawyer. And Akunadu Ajman Rawlings, former first lady, founder of 31st December Women's Movement, and she's also an entrepreneur. Ekwia Donko is a farmer and businesswoman. There's I've mentioned former President Mahama, right?
Yes, you have.
And then Henry Herbert Latte is also, he's an entrepreneur, right?
Yes, he should be.
Yes, he's an entrepreneur. He has his own practice. He has his own business.
Okay, see Odike.
Yes, Odike, at a point in Kumasi, Odike Ventures and Topman Shoes. They were two of the businesses with the highest recall. Because if you needed shoes, you go to either Odike or Topman. They were on every radio station and every media house. So Odike was quite popular as a businessman.
So he's the man behind that?
Yes, he's the man behind that. And the story of Odike politically, they started a political party which had Nana Ejenim Boateng of the UFP as, what do you call it? Flag bearer. And now Nana Ejenim Boateng is the flag bearer of the party. Yeah. He used to work on with Odike. So UFP has now fallen to Nana Ejenim Boateng and his group, and Odike now has his own party called UPP. Yes, so those are some of the linkages.
Okay, Marrick Gane.
Marrick Gane is a management consultant. Marrick Gane is a management consultant. He's worked on different projects, and he's got ACCA, just mention it, all the various accounting related certifications. He's a chartered certified accountant. He started his career as an audit trainee with PKF. He went on to serve in a senior audit role as an audit and consulting manager at PKF. He served as a co-audit senior role at the Ghana Commercial Bank. He's done a lot of things, including feasibility studies on the revival of the tomato factory.
Just around, quickly around the occupation, that's what I need. Bridget, you haven't told us what she does?
Bridget is also an entrepreneur. She, former Miss Ghana, she has won awards when it comes to building up the career capacity of women. So she's a founder of what's the name? I'll get the name.
Some mentorship,
yes,
something.
Ghana Women's
something.
I'll get the full name for you. Forgive me.
Okay.
She also used to manage the Aviation Social Center. She is the founder of 2 businesses that run facility management services. So she's quite an established entrepreneur as well. And she also has a business that is into oil palm processing. So when you want proper zomi, authentic Ghanaian oil palm zomi. Bridges is one of the people.
I've tried the zomi. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I tried it at the was it Made in Ghana fair? One of them that we did, and it was good.
And one of the reasons why, going back to Osofo Chaboso, I said he's a religious entrepreneur is because yes, he owns Fire TV 1 and Fire TV 2.
Okay.
And those
does it own them or the church owns them?
To the best of my knowledge, he owns them.
He owns them.
I may be wrong, but and those TV stations primarily broadcast religious programming. So you can describe it safely as religious entrepreneurship, aside the fact that
only religious programming.
Yes, to the best of my knowledge.
He does political programs too.
Yes, because the Ghana movement, the Gum movement.
And so if he has a mixture of the two, why are you giving him that? Because when PPP was led by what's his name? Pakusindu, and his TV station had a variety of. Did you give him that name?
It's interesting when you look at the list.
Anyway,
it appears a lot of people are entrepreneurs or business people, and I'm just wondering in the past elections and the presidents those elections have produced, we don't appear to have had anybody who we could say was an entrepreneur or a business person. Correct me if I'm wrong.
We've had people like that. Former President Kofi.
Also, correct. I mean, he's more known as a lawyer than many other things.
No, the people who knew Kofi, even though Kofi
was an entrepreneur,
professionally was a lawyer, was a member of the bar here and abroad and everything. His main business that fetched him money was being a businessman. When he was introduced to the timber business and other things, because his family were key players. So if you've watched Samense's interview with him on Footprints,
that's true.
He broke down the main thing. He didn't make his wealth from being a lawyer. And so in talking about the entrepreneurship, you may also want to know where the person's primary wealth is coming from.
Okay, so we have 17. In the history of the country, is this the highest or is this one? And when did we have, if we did?
I think, of course, this is the highest. Of course, it's just provisional. We are thinking the EC may cut down the names, even though I think if they are to cut them down, it will not be huge because of the back and forth that has gone on. EC calling them to come and correct a few errors and things like that. But 17 is quite a huge number. And I'm wondering how long the ballot paper is going to be. I've seen on TV in other countries, countries in Central Africa and Eastern Africa and co, where they've had a lot of candidates, and even in Nigeria. And we've said to ourselves, whoa, I mean, Ghana, this doesn't happen here, etc. We are almost there. So 17 people. I think the last time we had quite a huge number, or quite a number, was in 2012, when we had 8 candidates. 2008 as well, we had 8 candidates. 2016, last election, we had 7 candidates. And then in 2000, we had 7 candidates. Then in 2004, we had 4 candidates. I mean, 1992, we had 5 candidates. 2004, we had 4 candidates. And in 1996, we had 3 candidates. So 92, for example, Rollins, Edubuahin, Liman, Kwabena Dakun, and Eskane. 1996, we had Rollins, Kufuor, and then Mahama. And then when you go to 2000, the 2000 election itself, we had Kufuor, Mills, Mahama, Edward Mahama, George Hagan of the CPP, Guzitano, Danlate, Reku Brobe. And then 2004, you had Kufuor, Mills, Edward Mahama, and then George Agudi of the CPP. 2008, you had 8 of them: Akufo-Addo, Atta Mills, Pakusindu, Edward Mahama, Emmanuel Ansah Entry. I wonder where he is now. DFP, Obeda Samuel's party. We had Kwesi Amoafoye, but one of the first times we've had an independent candidate, properly so-called, running for president. Kwesi Amoafoye. We had Thomas Nwaku Ward-Brew, and then we had Kwabena AJ. And then in 2012, we had 8: Mahama, Akufo-Addo, Pakusindu, Henry Herbert Latte, Ayariga, Abu Sakara, Jacob Osei Yeboah, another independent candidate, and then Kwesi Adai. Then in 2016, We had Akufo-Addo again, John Mahama again, Paku Sindum again, now on the ticket of a PPP. Ivor Komna Green Street, Edward Mahama, Nana Konedo Ajiman Rawlings, and then Jacob Osei-Yeboah. So 2020 appears like, of course, not appears, obviously the year or the election that we've had, a lot of candidates.
If they're all approved, this will be a battalion.
You know, I've just forgotten the number we had in 2016 before
now,
Charlotte Osei
in 2016, 7 qualified to run. So there were 7 names on the ballot, right?
Yes.
13 were disqualified.
13 were disqualified.
Okay, so in essence, in 2016, we had 20.
Okay.
And Selom said this is the highest number we've had. We cannot really say this is the highest number because
it's provisional.
They've not finished vetting everything. They've not given us the final number.
So if they approve and everybody goes through, that'll be the highest on the ballot. But if not, we'll see the new figure that comes out of that. But quite a tall list.
And it's interesting because on the average, we've had an average of 6 candidates running for each of the elections. When you put all together and strike an average, we've had instances where we've had 7, 8, 8, 4, 7, 3, 5. Which gives you about 42. So an average of that will give you about 6 per an election.
Okay. All right. Let's start with, I want to be fair. I don't want to start the background discussion proper with the major guys or the main guys because we end up giving them all the attention and not the smaller ones. So I'm going to start with the independent candidates, if you permit me. We have 3 of them. We have Marrick Gane, we have Kofi Koranting, and then we have Alfred Walker. So these 3 persons, starting from Alfred, or if you like, from Marrick.
Okay.
Who are they?
So Marrick, as we mentioned earlier, he's a management consultant. He's a chartered accountant. He's written a couple of books, and he was an audit trainee at PKF. That's how his career started. Became a consulting manager. Worked as an auditor at the Ghana Commercial Bank, served on the feasibility studies as a consultant for the Paulugu tomato factory and also the Benso oil palm plantation. He's also lectured in different institutions, ACCA, CIMA, and then ICSA. And he worked for some policy think tanks, that's the Christian Aid, the Commonwealth Secretariat, International Alerts, and also Crown Agents. And so that's who he is. And he's also, over the period, been a columnist in some online platforms where he used to write a lot. For me, I've been following him on Facebook.
Is he making any impact on social media? He has some interesting campaign strategy on financing, not taking some amount more than some amount of money.
Before he declared his intention to run as an independent candidate, he used to write a lot about governance in Ghana, about efficiency and resource use, about accountability. So a lot of people used to follow him and read his stuff. And he declared his intention to run as an independent candidate, and he continued doing the same thing. So you realize that he spends a lot of time, and usually the analysis he does is fact-based, a lot of data being shared. Now, when he declared his intention, he started touring the various senior high schools and unis. So he would go and speak to, say, at a bar camp in Ho, or you go and give a speech in KNUST, or go to Jonet in Sunyang, or go to the Cape Coast University. So he was engaging the youth groups, and mostly he was engaging the youth groups which were more governance focused, more startup entrepreneurship focused, and he was trying to build his base from there. And then COVID-19 came, and the restrictions on movement came, and then he moved to social media to do live videos and also engage a lot more people on social media. So that is a bit about the man Marrick Gane, accountant, management consultant, now turned independent presidential candidate.
And is he making any inroads from where you sit in terms of monitoring? Let's say because of the COVID, political, physical rallies are a bit, funny, but on social media, is he getting the attention, making any penetration among the youth that he's been trying to build a base with?
He sort of organized a good campaign team and a good campaign structure. But if you want to know whether he's made inroads or not, if you check his campaign Facebook page, he's still hovering around some 10,000 followers, right? And a lot of the posts that they put out, they get comments, but not as many comments. Now, if you compare the work being done by the key parties when it comes to social media,
okay,
well, they are miles ahead of
thought. Don't depart from that thought. I'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look further into who he is, Mr. Gane.
Grandma really knows how to take care of her family. Now, it's my turn. And like her, I only want the freshest food. I'm glad there's Samsung Twin Cooling Refrigerator, which retains 70% humidity, extending freshness up to 2 times longer. And with extended freshness, I can extend my care for my family.
And you're welcome back to the Voters Diary. My name is Vivian Kai. I'm here with Selom Adonu as well as Kojo Akoto-Boateng. We're looking at the 17 persons who have filed nominations to run as president of the Republic of Ghana. What do you think about the number? What do you think about the various individuals who have filed nomination? We're looking at this and looking into their backgrounds, among others. You can send us a message via Facebook or Twitter. Just remember to add the hashtag Voters Diary, or you can send a message via WhatsApp on the number on your screen. So, Kojo, before we took the break, you're telling us about the inroads, if any, being made by one of the independent candidates, Marrick and Gane.
Yeah, so Marrick has tried to push his campaign online, and if you check the activity on his social media pages, the others, and I mean John Mahama, Nana Akufo-Addo, NDC, NPP, they are miles, they are light years ahead of him.
So if somebody like John Mahama or the president, how many? This guy is clocking around 10,000.
Yes,
how many are they clocking?
We are talking
roughly?
about a million, millions for them, yes. And what they have is also, they have the resources. So for example, this morning the president was at the inauguration of the TUC building, the refurbished building. His personal page was streaming it and he had thousands of people watching. Vice President Bawumia was in the fiscal, his personal page was streaming it, he had thousands of people watching. And then the various political party pages were pushing. If you look at the NPP, they are using the Hope campaign and the Round 2 campaign. They've already organized virtual rallies. So you see them doing a lot of work on social media. So even though that's what you think Marrick has the advantage, but they are still outperforming him there. So basically that's a bit about Marrick Kofi Gane. He's tried to raise money like what Obama did. So when he launched his campaign, he put out platforms and links where people could donate to his money. And he's tried to be accountable to people with what he's doing and where he's going. So basically, he launched the manifesto. He's one of the first people who launched manifestos and broke down the various things that he wanted to do.
But were there any, any key things in that manifesto that hit people? Or
the manifesto, unfortunately, did not get mileage, and I think the media is equally guilty. The media did not spend time on the manifesto. I mean, he has a number of things he talks about doing, mainly reworking the mindset of Ghanaians, trying to ensure that corruption is reduced to the barest minimum, if not eradicated at all. A number of things he has specific programs around. You know, when I saw the document, quite a hefty document, and I was telling myself, wow, this man is trying to put in the work and it's developed quite a good document.
For example, he said he's going to preserve the Etua forest. He won't allow mining in the Etua forest. So that means Sino-Hydro is not happening under him if he wins. He will introduce taxes on single-use plastics. Remember this particular conversation. Work with private companies to convert solid waste to energy and abolish landfills in the process. Construct comprehensive drainage systems for the 3 most populated regions as part of the National Drainage Project. Introduce presidential quarterly community cleanup and tree planting exercise. Launch a nationwide policy dubbed Operation Sankofa, involving the meticulous identification and filling up of degraded pits of galamsey operations. Ban public office holders from owning, operating, partnering, or being involved directly or indirectly with mining operations, large or small, and completely ban electronic waste and high CFC exposed equipment imports over a period of 3 years. This is basically his manifesto promise on the environment and related stuff. He said a lot of things when it comes to his manifesto. When it comes to business, he has some really sharp ideas to push business and related stuff. So that's a bit about Marrick. And
I mean, just to fill in on the portion of his manifesto on health, for example, he said he has the agenda to transform and support the health sector, and essentially saying that he will ensure there's full commitment to the promotion of active and healthy lifestyles of our citizens, refocus health resources to counteract the 20% increase in lifestyle-related diseases in the last decade. I mean, the double barrel of disease, I mean, non-communicable and communicable diseases, and a number of things he said. In terms of investing in health access is a key issue, and we've talked about it here before. So he looked at the 4 pillars of access: geographic, financial, functional, and then cultural, and he's saying that he will do something about it. He's promising to map various communities to facilities, so that every community has a facility, people will attend, etc. And a number of things he's seeking to do, investing in health, human resources, extracting systemic efficiency in health delivery. He has got a number of things.
He broke it into 10 parts, actually. So there's the education, agric, health, tourism, infrastructure, economy and commerce, institutional reforms. For example, he says that the IGP will be given the full independence he needs to run the Ghana Police Service. On unemployment, he says that
so the Peace Council, who will be the chair, we wouldn't see a vice president.
Well, the vice president can still be a chair and give the IGP
because usually that is a bone of contention with whether it's realistic.
The police council,
a police council, yes.
Yeah. So,
anyway,
that's a good question. When we get him, we can ask him that.
What
he has a full section on unemployment, sanitation and environment, power and energy. So that's Marrick Gane. So for people who want to know more about him, you may want to check ganeforghana.com. That's his website. Or look for Marrick Kofi Gane on Facebook. His Facebook page is facebook.com/GaneForGhana. And then you can get to know more about him.
You didn't finish.
And there's this thing it says about education, that education is our weapon of mass elevation, So, of course, and many people have said so.
Salam likes those statements. You remember the Obama campaign?
I mean, it's been said in many forms by different people.
You like this one?
No, but of course, this Vivian said that. So he's saying that education is our weapon of mass elevation. That when you want to move people out of poverty, the easiest way of doing so is through education. That's why perhaps we have the free education thing or the free SHS thing. So many people have said so in various forms, but this is how he decided to put his.
And then you were talking about his financing, the campaign on.
Yes. So he tried to reach out to a lot of people to donate, and in fact, when you go to his website, there's a donations part where people can donate. You can donate whether you're in Ghana, internationally, and if you have a big donation, there's a number for you to call. And he put his campaign materials also in Google Drive and shared on his page so that people who wanted to support him could pick them up and push it. So basically that's how he structured his drive to be a president.
So that's interesting. Okay, let's move to this.
So I think he must be commended because he is one of those guys who, I mean, not very popular, but he's been able to put together quite a comprehensive document on his policy, propositions, and I think it is great. It's all over the place on the internet, etc. I'm yet to see what the others are doing, but he has tried to take the lead amongst his peers to do this, and I think he deserves some commendation for that.
Okay. Kofi Koranting, the second independent candidate. Who is this guy? Do we know much about him?
Well, Kofi Koranting, let me just run through his quick brief. So Kofi Koranting is 54. He's from the Eastern region. He's an entrepreneur. So that's the man, Kofi Koranting. He described himself as not being a career politician, but an entrepreneur. He's okay. Let me take you to what he does actually. On his website, he says he's determined and inspired by the principles of self-directed destiny, and he's an entrepreneur. He's built a network of like-minded groups who understand the power of shared resources and working towards a common goal. He has been a part of, as well as director of investment projects that include transportation, media, and real estate, which provided viable job and growth opportunities. He was born at Kolebu on the 9th of September 1966, and he's from Akropong in the Kapem area. So that's a little bit about Kofi Koranting.
He describes himself also as an advocate. If you recall, a couple of years ago, there was this matter on the Ropal. He was the plaintiff. He was the guy who, together with his colleagues, who went to the court to charge the EC or to seek or to cause the court to order the EC to begin processes to ensure that Ghanaians resident abroad are able to vote, because the law is clear on that. It's been in the law, so it's been in the law books for a while, but it appears that nobody's been able to operationalize that. So the court, found for him, and it's one of the things he has done, for which reason he describes himself as an advocate. Unfortunately, COVID and the matters, which have followed it, have made it impossible for the EC to operationalize the registration and voting by people in the diaspora. So it's one of the things he has done, and he has quite an interesting vision. He says he doesn't think Ghana needs more than 10 ministries, and in all, he doesn't think Ghana needs more than 20 ministers. A number of things he wants to do. Ex gratia,
eliminate ex gratia,
and a whole lot of things he thinks are not necessary. It's just a drain on the national purse. And there was a time ago he appeared on Eyewitness on Point Blank, and we tried to push him to tell us the ministries that he would retain. For a lot of the ministries, he felt that a lot of the things they did or they do could be put together in many years, and then a lot of the activities will go rather to the agencies rather than ministry. A procurement ministry, for example, they thought it wasn't important, and many other ministries. So that, I think, kind of resonated with a few people, but whether he is really on the ground, remains to be seen.
One thing it's also said is about the implementation of a 2030 50-year development plan. So he is talking about long-term development plan, and he says that we should have something like that with metrics, measurable milestones. So we develop it. It shouldn't be NDC comes and they want to do this, so they've done it. NPP comes, they want to do this, they've done it. PNC comes, CPP, Kofi Koranting comes. There should be a national development plan which guides development. So that is the job description for all political parties. When you come, you take the job description and you work, and then we measure your performance according to the job description.
Okay. What kind of base is he building? Who is he pulling along? The youth, the older? Do we know? I mean,
it's really not too clear.
Yeah.
It's really not too clear. If you hit the streets right now and you do a quick survey, if you ask people, some people may struggle to recollect the name Kofi Koranting. So it's really not too clear. On social media, he's also not been that outstanding on social media. His website is quite organized with a lot of information, but I'm not sure he's built a strong base like that. For example, if you're talking about bases, and you mentioned somebody like Osofo Chabosom, he has used religion, he's used his church, he's used his movement to build a base. So when he started talking about running for president, when he said he has spoken to the national chief imam and sought his blessing to choose a Muslim as his running mate, he said he had over 15,000 people who were ready to endorse his form should he decide to run. He's got churches around, he's got a movement, he's got 2 TV stations that used to which still broadcasts whatever he's doing. Back then, he would go to different places and say he was casting out evil spirits and idols from their shrines. That's how come he's called the Sofochi, the pastor who catches idols. Yes, and then he metamorphosed into a politician.
No, he's, I don't want us to go to him and take the shine out of Kranti. So let's finish with
So Kranti, for example, his base, I'm not sure. I think he's still struggling to have a base. But the things he's saying are some of the things that the middle class, has talked about many times. I think he needs to maybe reorganize properly and see if he can connect with a certain base. So he wants to overhaul the constitution. Many people have talked about the fact that our constitution is old. Some of the things in there must be changed. He says he will overhaul the constitution. Could you talk about the National Development Plan? NDPC tried to do some under Dr. Nimoy Thompson, but we don't even know where that is now. He wants to appoint just 20 ministers. He wants to abolish S-Gratia. These are things people have talked about. People don't even understand why S-Gratia should be paid to people after every 4 years, huge sums of money. He wants to institute a flat rate import duty. He wants to enforce law and order, and he wants to put the youth to work. So these are his key points that he wants to, that he hopes to build this country with. I think, I don't know where he stands. I don't know what his organization really is, but he comes across as somebody who can convince, given the opportunity. He appears to understand a bit of what he wants to do. He speaks with an accent. He's been resident in the US for quite a long time. And people, the returnees, well, sometimes when they come to Ghana, they try to feel that a lot of things can just change by the snap of the finger. I tend to place him in that category, just that he has a lot of energy to go with it, and he appears to know what he is talking about. When you push him, he appears to have some substance to back some of the claims and some of the things he promises.
Okay. Alfred Kwabena Walker, that's the third independent person vying for the highest seat of the land. Anything about him? Because your face looks like straight.
Oh no, he describes himself as a person with experience in leadership. Okay. If you check his profile, he says he's currently the lead consultant collaborator for a Dublin, Ireland, and infrastructure development group operations in West Africa. And he says he spearheaded and championed the redevelopment, expansion, and beautification of the Accra-Tema motorway. And he's advocated for the Ghanaian majority ownership of the national telecom system under the Kofi regime. What we know is that he was born in Latte, in the eastern region, to Kwame Alfred Walker. He's the youngest son of 9 children, and his parental background actually is royal, so he's from the royal family. So that's a bit about Kwame Alfred Walker. If you remember, he attempted to run in 2016. He was one of the 13 that's disqualified, and he went to court, I think. Yes, he contested that,
he didn't succeed.
It didn't go far. So that's the bit we know about Alfred Kwame Walker. And interestingly, last year, 2016, he attempted to run. It didn't work. Jacob Osei-Yeboah, who was then an independent candidate, has swapped places with him. So now Jacob Osei-Yeboah is his running mate, and he's the main guy running for the two of them.
Okay. So exactly what I wanted to say, that it appears his running mate is even more popular than him, because I mean, just Jacob Osei-Yeboah contested in 2012 and in 2016. This time around, he thinks it's time for him to take the back seat and allow Alfred Walker to lead. And of course, when he submitted his nomination form, he said he felt leadership was about influence, and that it didn't really matter whether he was, the number 2 person or not. All that mattered was that they had a common vision that they hoped to run with. I don't know what influences decision. I don't know if it's resource based. I don't know what influenced the decision. But I think Jacob Osei-Yeboah has tried to keep himself a bit relevant. He's on a number of mass WhatsApp pages. Every now and then you see things he writes, he puts around. Every now and then you see 1 or 2 headlines, etc. So I think he's been one of those people. Was it in 2012 or 2016, when the election, the declaration of election results, the aftermath of that became a bit difficult. He was one of 4 people or 3 people who formed themselves into a delegation and visited Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo to ask him to concede. I think it was 2016, but
no, it wasn't 2016.
It was 2012, right?
2016, Nana Akufo-Addo
sorry,
it was cleared.
It was 2012, sorry. So he was one of those people who went to him in 2012 and asked him to concede and let the nation move on.
Okay.
But yeah.
I want us to wrap up with, so the independent candidates are 3, we've run through them. Let's wrap up with Christian Kwabena Andrews, because he's gaining a lot of attention. Every day I hear his name on a radio station or something. He's getting some quite some attention.
All right, so it's interesting. He talks about how he got to this stage. He said he had a dream. I don't know if it was a vision. He had a dream, and God showed him a few things, and his conclusion from the analysis of the dream is that God wants him to lead a movement that will rescue Ghana, and that Nkrumah had done a lot of things for Ghana, but Ghana did not recognize him, and that the way Nkrumah's reign as president or leader of the country was truncated meant that our development had truncated for a long time, and that he was the person that God was choosing to restore Ghana to that state. That's why anytime you watch his TV and he's showing political things, he shows a lot of Nkrumah's work. And you see, for a lot of people who did not experience Nkrumah, I did not experience Nkrumah. I've only read about him, read his books and heard stories about him. People tend to feel that these were very good old days, and that if the coup d'etat hadn't occurred, Ghana would not be where it is. No, Nkrumah is seen in that light, or is being framed that way, and he's riding on the back of that to get to a lot of people. And indeed, he has examples to show. He shows examples of factories, and many things Nkrumah has done on his TV stations. A lot of factories, Aboso glass factory, the rubber plantation or the rubber factory, the tomato prairie. He has a lot of those examples to show. And sometimes he says that this 1D1F we're trying to do today, Nkrumah saw this many years ago. He will come and ensure that those factories which are not working are dormant now will be revived, and people will get jobs to do. He has this thing he says about declaring a free port. I think Donko also says that, free port, etc. But I think it all depends on the demographic he's appealing to. And it appears that a lot of the people he's appealing to are people who watch his TV. People, the church people, even though not all of them, a lot of them are the church people within a certain socioeconomic bracket who tend to go along with him with some of the things he says. Not very sophisticated things, which are, for example, this free porting, without really thinking through how having a free port impacts other things. He will build factories so that people will get jobs to do, without thinking along that against what declaring a free port means for the manufacturing industry in Ghana. Not very sophisticated, and the average person, or the kind of people he appeals to, are not very sophisticated. So they tend to buy into the thing he's doing, or buy into his message, coupled with the fact that it appears people are quite tired with the NDC and MPP and the so-called sophisticated politicians, lawyers, business people who are in leadership positions. So he kind of speaks the language of the people. That goes very down to them. One other thing too is that he appears quite organized, and he has the power of the media. When I see him and the waves he's making amongst his the demographic he's appealing to, I realize, or it's an emphasis on the important role media is playing, especially in this election. He has 2 stations dedicated to this, and people watch him. Before that, he built a base going around the country, going to villages and uprooting and destroying strongholds and gods, etc. So he gained a reputation for that. People want to watch him, or people wanted to watch him do those things. Now he's built the base or a certain followership, and now he's feeding them, not to say indoctrinate, but he's feeding them with things of Kwame Nkrumah, and telling people that he is the man to continue this work. Because he comes from the position of religion, his believability amongst the base is quite high. And why not? The talk is, if you've tried lawyers business people and very educated people, the elite, etc. And we are where we are. Why don't we try somebody who speaks our language? I think that is what he's riding on.
Okay.
And he's also known because of the various controversies that have come up. So Osofo Chawosom versus this, Osofo Chawosom versus this one, Osofo Chawosom versus that one. When the Canadian Japan and Obini missions came up, people were expecting a Ken Chawosom showdown. So in that particular circle, in the viral news circles, sometimes he shows up. Not sometimes, he shows up fairly regularly.
Yes, he has quite a good church. And, you know,
and the last time I saw something that looked like a rally, which he organized somewhere in the eastern region, the western part of the eastern region, you saw other popular pastors joining him on stage, speaking and advocating for people to believe what he's doing and trust him to be the savior for Ghana and also vote for him. So he's built that up. There's a high recall of his name, especially if you go into the settings where they believe in the things he does. And it's actually propelled him forward. He's had interviews on most of the big media houses. So he's had the audience to speak to the issues.
So I mean, just to wrap it up before you come in. So generally, so we discuss independent candidates mainly. I think they are struggling a bit with organization. They lack the resources and they lack the networks on the ground to mobilize people for them. Number two, I think they lack resources. Everybody wants more resources. But the nature of our politics is such that now people don't think about giving to you. They think about you giving to them, mainly because of how we have been brought up. Free this, free that, free this, free that. So if you are coming to give me free stuff, why must I now, fund you? You should fund me. And when I come to your rally, you should give me freebies, So that is not working for them. Marrick, Gane, for example, is trying to use an innovative means of raising money, the Obama style. But that is not what the people want. The people want you to give them money, and you are rather coming to take from them. That really won't work. And they are failing to craft a message that will resonate with the youth or with the young people. If you're able to capture the youth, then you are in a good place.
Okay.
A lot of them have struggled to do that, and they've lacked the media to support them. I was hoping that somebody like Gane, given the waves his name caused those early times, he would ride on that, build a solid social media, architecture or base to power his messages. But I've not really seen that, and that's a big disappointment for me.
Okay. Kofi says, good afternoon, Vivian. God bless you guys richly for the many sacrifices to let us in on almost everything we have to know as far as the build-up to this year's election is concerned. But my preferred presidential candidate is Mr. Kofi Wayo. Isn't he in the mention? Any reason why he didn't file to contest? Well, Kofi Wayo has been out of the scene for like, at least 3 or 4 elections. We've not seen Kofi Wayo. So, we'll see whether we'll find him one of these days.
He nearly became MP though, back then when he ran. I think he
nearly became MP in the Nima area. That night we thought they had won. I don't know.
He didn't win. Okay. So, and then, good afternoon, Vivian. Good topic. Keep on educating us. This is Eric. And then this one says, good afternoon. I personally do not have any favorite among these 17 candidates, but the only thing I know is that without any proper national development plan as a blueprint for meaningful progress, the NDC and the NPP are nothing but a vicious cycle. So tomorrow we'll continue on the rest of the candidates. We've done 4. We'll move to the rest 17 in all. Who is your preferred candidate? Let us know if the EC allows all of them to sail through. My name is Vivian Kai Loko. I was here with Kojo Akoto as well as Selam Adonu. See you again tomorrow. The repeat of the show is at 10 p.m. tonight. Goodbye.